All right, this is my personal take five because I've tried to record this several times and I have stumbled over it somewhere along the way. So hopefully this is the one. But my name's Derek Steinacher and I'm the Director of Family Ministries here at Horizons. And we're on day 16 of our devotional together. And today's topic is operating in God's power. And one of the questions that it asks us to reflect on in the devotional today is what are some of the things that God wants to do supernaturally through you that you are trying to do in your own strength? I love that question. Last week, when I'm recording this, a few weeks ago, by the time we're doing this devotional together, Trantel and I attended a church conference for church leaders all around the Midwest and actually further than that. And leading up to the conference, they sent us a survey that we could kind of fill out a bunch of points. And then they shared some of that data um, at, at the conference to kind of give the broad scope of churches across the US. And so one of the questions they asked was, how's your church attendance bounced back since COVID? And on average, churches have bounced back to about 70% of the attendance they had pre-COVID. Some churches are a little higher than that. Some churches were even lower than that. And so they kind of shared that and the graph of how that was looking. And then they also asked, how are you doing as a church leader? And in general, people were kind of had some energy that was down. And there was even the question, how many of you want to quit? And 10% of the pastors or church leaders or volunteer staff answered that they want to quit. Like where they're at a point that they want to quit. And in that session, we were kind of reminded that so many of us try to do this, try to do ministry or try to do whatever we do in our own strength. And like we just try harder and harder. And when things aren't quite back to 100%, we think if we put in more effort and if we do this and that, uh, it'll all succeed. And we kind of forget that God's our coworker, right? That's kind of the theme of this month for us at Horizons. And we kind of operate as if we're doing all the work ourselves and that God really isn't our coworker. And so today, as we're talking about operating in God's power, that's my encouragement and reminder to you. It's not one of the verses in our reading today, but it reminded me of the verse, the Spirit of God who raised Jesus from the dead lives in you. And so it's not all up to you today. It's not all up to your own strength. God is doing this with us. We play a part, but God plays a bigger part, and we're coworkers with Him. So that's our prayer. And I am joining you in praying, God, how can I better be your coworker? Thanks for joining us in this devotional. I hope you enjoyed today's reading and have a great night.